The silence after the reveal was louder than any drum solo. For generations, the voice was unmistakable, a velvet baritone, drenched in the deep, familiar heartbreak of Memphis and Motown. It was the sound of 1,000 Saturday nights, a ballad of raw, undeniable soul. We speak of a song that Black America claimed as its own, singing every single word by heart, "What You Won't Do for Love." But behind the smoky smooth perfection of that R&B classic was a twist that challenged every racial line drawn in the mid-century American music industry. In the 1960s, a new term emerged, blue-eyed soul. It was coined to describe white artists whose sound mirrored the predominantly black artistry of labels like Motown and Stax. Yet, one man transcended the label itself, becoming a genuine anomaly. His name was Bobby Caldwell. He was the white singer many thought was black, the man who had to hide his image just to get his first album played on R&B radio. His music proved that true soul knows no color, but his final years became a haunting testament to how fragile life is, regardless of fame. How did a man who brought so much passion to the world of R&B/soul end his days in agonizing, relentless pain, trapped by his own body? Ban ko dong y voi noi dung fan nai kong. Twa si chi teep tuc kai ban zak nan. Bobby Caldwell was born in Manhattan, New York, on August 15, 1951. But the sophisticated sound that would later define his career wasn't forged in the concrete jungle, it was perfected under the warm, diverse sky of Miami, Florida, where his family moved when he was 5 years old. His parents, Bob and Carolyn Caldwell, were entertainers themselves. They hosted local variety TV shows, including the 42nd Street Review in New York and Supper Time in Pittsburgh. This environment ensured that from his earliest memories, music was not a hobby, but the rhythm of the household. His parents were avid fans of the big band era, listening constantly to legends like Ella Fitzgerald, Frank Sinatra, and Nat King Cole. But the young Bobby was a musical omnivore. He absorbed everything the cultural landscape of the early 1960s had to offer. He loved rock and roll, jazz, and, crucially, R&B/soul music. He found inspiration in the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, and Jimi Hendrix, but his deepest connection was to the soulful sounds. He adored the Philly soul of Gamble and Huff and the unmistakable magic of Motown. Marvin Gaye was his favorite artist, a foundational influence. He was deeply inspired by the Four Tops, the Spinners, and the Temptations. Living in Miami also exposed him to the rich sounds of reggae and Latin music, which further broadened his palette. By the age of 10, his parents noticed his deepening passion and enrolled him in piano lessons. Although the piano wasn't his preferred instrument, this early discipline was vital. His true musical love emerged when he bought his first guitar. He worked hard, mowing countless yards to afford it, a moment of commitment that defined his self-taught ethic. He dedicated hours every day to mastering the guitar by intensely listening to the records of the Beatles and James Brown. At just 14 years old, he formed his first group, the Night Walkers. They honed their skills practicing in neighborhood garages and playing at school events. When that group dissolved, he formed another band, Kathmandu, performing in local clubs and bars across Florida. This grind eventually led to his first major break, a moment of destiny that introduced him to the reality of the touring life. While performing one night, Bobby Caldwell and his band caught the attention of the flamboyant rock and roll and R&B/soul legend, Little Richard. Richard, impressed by their sound, offered them a job on the spot as his backing band, having recently fired his previous musicians. For a young Caldwell, this was the golden ticket he needed. He wanted desperately to leave Florida and knew the West Coast was where true musical success lay. Traveling the world with Little Richard was an education in stardom. They played everywhere from major TV shows to Las Vegas, operating on a superstar level for 4 years. However, 4 years was enough. Caldwell and Kathmandu eventually left Little Richard to pursue their own career. The band briefly signed with Mainstream Records, but when nothing substantial materialized, they quickly left the label. This period proved crucial, as Caldwell realized he possessed a dual talent. He could sing and, even more importantly, he could write songs. His bandmates noted that he was, in fact, a better vocalist than their lead singer. Kathmandu disbanded, and Bobby Caldwell prepared for a solo career. Instead of jumping straight to solo work, he created another band, the Radio Flyers, specifically structured to support his developing solo material. They toured California, trying to secure a record deal, with Caldwell writing all the music. But success remained elusive. He passed demos to labels and managers, yet nobody would take a chance on him. Defeated, he packed up and returned home to Miami, feeling like a failure, briefly considering his father's offer to work in real estate, a prospect he dreaded. Music seemed to have rejected him. Yet, a final push came when his mother showed him a Miami Herald article about the disco group KC and the Sunshine Band. Caldwell reached out to their label, the disco and R&B/soul powerhouse, TK Records. He arrived at the office with a grocery bag full of his original songs. 2 days after the executives heard his music, a sophisticated blend of pop, jazz, and R&B/soul, he was signed. At 26 years old, Bobby Caldwell was ready to record his debut album, Target, 800 Words, success of hit song plus Hiding Image plus Cleveland concert. When Bobby Caldwell delivered his debut album to TK Records CEO Henry Stone, the response was positive, yet demanding. The music was brilliant, but it was missing a radio single. Caldwell initially championed the track, My Flame, but the label insisted on something else. 2 days later, a creative urgency produced the iconic song, What You Won't Do for Love. When the label heard it, they were ecstatic. It was the perfect single, a smooth, jazz-infused R&B/soul ballad that resonated instantly with the sound they were known for. However, a serious problem arose, reflecting the racial politics of the late 1970s American music industry. Caldwell was a white man with long hair, yet his sound was pure, unadulterated soul, meticulously crafted from the black music traditions of Motown and the South. TK Records, a label with enormous power in black radio, was looking for a way to market him to their predominantly black audience. Caldwell himself stated he never thought he sounded black, only like a white guy influenced by R&B/soul. The fear was palpable. If they put the image of a white man on the cover, the album would fail to sell to the core soul and R&B demographic. Taking matters into his own hands, Caldwell made a genius decision. Instead of a photograph of his face, he designed the cover himself, choosing a mysterious, distant silhouette. The image was a shadowy figure seated on a park bench, a racial blank slate that allowed listeners to project their own expectations onto the voice. When the single was released in September 1978, the strategy worked flawlessly. What You Won't Do for Love became a smash hit, peaking at number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 6 on the hot-selling soul singles chart. The black community embraced the song, singing it word for word, completely unaware of the singer's race. The horns, the arrangement, and that profound voice were enough. The album's success led to the most pivotal moment in Caldwell's career, the unmasking. R&B/soul singer Natalie Cole, captivated by the song, invited Bobby Caldwell to open for her on her headline tour in Cleveland, Ohio. This was an arena show, packed with 5,000 to 7,000 fans, almost all black, who knew the song but had never seen the man behind the voice. When Bobby Caldwell walked out onto the stage, the sudden shift from anonymity to visibility created an intense silence. He described the quiet as so profound, you can hear a pin drop. The collective shock, the realization that the soulful voice belonged to a white man, hung heavy in the air. This moment could have been a disaster, a rejection. But after 10 minutes of his set, the talent, the authenticity, and the sheer quality of the music broke through the prejudice. The crowd erupted, going crazy for him. Bobby Caldwell later said that night was when he became a man, fully embraced by the black community and R&B radio, confirming that true soul music has no color. The debut album, fueled by the mystery and the massive success of What You Won't Do for Love, went double platinum in the US and achieved platinum status in Japan. The follow-up album, Cat in the Hat, 1980, which did feature his picture, hit number 46 on the R&B charts. This success was a hard-earned victory, achieved by subverting the industry's racial gatekeeping and winning over an audience purely through the emotional power of his blue-eyed soul. Task 4. Crisis and Downfall, 6 Years of Agony, Fan 3 Then Buy. Target, 800 words, health crisis plus levofloxacin plus peripheral neuropathy plus retirement. Following his commercial success with What You Won't Do for Love, Bobby Caldwell refused to be confined to a single genre. His label, TK Records, shut down due to financial issues, leading Caldwell to transition from a full-time recording artist to a prolific songwriter for others. He penned hits for Chicago's Peter Cetera and Amy Grant, reaching number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 with The Next Time I Fall. He also wrote for legends like Roberta, Flack and the Commodores, displaying a versatility that few R&B/soul artists of his time could match. He found a particularly loyal following in Japan, where his sophisticated blend of music earned him the title, Mr. Adult-Oriented Rock. He was a musician's musician, dedicated to his craft. For years, he kept up a relentless performing schedule, relying on his guitar and piano skills to connect with audiences, especially his core fan base in Japan, where he continually sold out shows. This dedication and his ability to tour were not just for passion, they were the primary means by which he earned his living. Then, in 2017, everything began to unravel, not from a lapse in judgment or career misstep, but from a devastating medical error. While at home preparing for a major 20-show tour in Japan, Bobby Caldwell developed a common cold, a runny nose and a cough. He visited an urgent care clinic, where he was prescribed cough syrup and an antibiotic called levofloxacin. This was the point of no return. Levofloxacin is used to treat bacterial infections, but it is ineffective against viral infections like the common cold. Caldwell took the medication for several days, unaware of the potential disaster lurking within the prescription. The antibiotics, which attack bacteria, began attacking his own body. One morning, he woke up and could not stand. His Achilles tendons were hurting and inflamed. When he sought medical attention, his doctor, unable to explain the severity of the damage, asked him if he had recently jumped off a building or something. Further research by his wife, Mary Caldwell, revealed the harrowing truth: the levofloxacin medication could cause severe side effects, including nerve damage. In the wake of this severe adverse reaction, Caldwell developed peripheral neuropathy, a condition where the nerves outside the brain and spinal cord are damaged. This led to unrelenting pain, digestive issues, and a loss of feeling in his extremities. The pain became an agony, described as a burning sensation so severe it felt like someone was hammering from his heels straight up. Crucially, he lost feeling in his fingertips, making it nearly impossible to play the guitar or piano, the instruments essential to his live performances. For the next 6 years, Bobby Caldwell lived in this state of torment. The life of Mr. R became one of intense suffering. He forced himself to continue performing to pay his bills, often sitting down, using a cane, or even performing in a wheelchair. To manage the attention and concern from his audiences, he would lie, blaming his condition on trips or falls. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit in 2020, the inability to tour and the isolation exacerbated his health issues. His feet became so swollen that he could no longer wear shoes, and he slipped into a profound depression. The man whose voice once soared with the effortless passion of R&B/soul was trapped, broken by a simple prescription. In 2020, the pain and the loss of his ability to perform became too much. Bobby Caldwell hung up his career and retired from the music business. The legacy of Bobby Caldwell is a unique tapestry woven from R&B tradition, jazz sophistication, and pop accessibility. While stateside, he battled the industry's racial expectations to gain airplay. His music found massive, unreserved adoration internationally. In Japan, he wasn't just a singer, he was revered as Mr. adult-oriented rock, consistently selling out shows and earning platinum certifications for albums like August Moon, which didn't even see a proper US release until years later. His ability to connect globally confirmed that his artistry transcended the narrow, predefined boundaries of American radio formats. Perhaps the most powerful affirmation of his R&B/soul authenticity came not from pop charts, but from the heart of African American music culture, hip-hop. His magnum opus, What You Won't Do for Love, and his lesser-known album cuts became foundational samples for some of the biggest icons in rap and R&B. Tupac used the single for his massive hit, Do for Love. Aaliyah, Common, and Biggie Smalls all built essential tracks, such as Sky's the Limit and The Light, from the DNA of Caldwell's music. This consistent sampling by black artists was the ultimate seal of approval, a recognition that regardless of his skin color, the emotion and production quality of his R&B/soul records were undeniably authentic and timeless. Yet, this influential career ended in a tragedy rooted in a small, cruel twist of fate. His debilitating condition, the peripheral neuropathy, and the ruptured Achilles tendons were a direct result of the antibiotic levofloxacin. After 6 years of unrelenting agony, of trying to perform from a chair while battling nerve damage that felt like hammering in his heels, the fight was over. On March 14, 2023, Bobby Caldwell died at his home at the age of 71. His wife, Mary, recounted the final moments, saying he came out of the bedroom with his walker, sat next to her, slouched over, and passed away right in her arms. He was gone, having endured a 2-month period of rapidly deteriorating health, a final, painful torment after years of struggle. The music industry mourned a legend, but his family grieved the loss of a man devastated by a drug meant to help him. Ban ko dong y voi noi dung fan nai kong. Twa se chi teep tuc kai ban zak nan. The story of Bobby Caldwell is one of profound passion, undeniable talent, and devastating fragility. His voice, once hidden in silhouette, became the sound that transcended race and genre. He was the quintessential artist of the blue-eyed soul movement, yet his mastery of R&B/soul was so complete that the label became irrelevant. He earned the respect of an entire culture not with his image, but with the integrity of his sound. The enduring legacy of "What You Won't Do for Love" is etched into American music history, constantly being reborn and reinterpreted by successive generations of R&B and hip-hop giants. Even beyond that signature song, his work as a songwriter and performer created a deep catalog of sophisticated, adult-oriented rock and jazz that earned him a loyal following from Las Vegas to Japan. But his final years serve as a chilling cautionary tale about modern medicine. The agony he endured, the ruptured Achilles tendons and the peripheral neuropathy, was a 6-year, 2-month torment caused by the prescribed antibiotic, levofloxacin. He passed away on March 14, 2023, worn down by the complications of a reaction that should never have happened. His wife, Mary Caldwell, courageously shared her pain and issued a stark public warning on social media about the drug levofloxacin, or fluoroquinolone antibiotics. Her hope is that the tragic final chapter of Bobby Caldwell's life will compel others to thoroughly research and question their physicians about prescribed antibiotics, asking doctors if they would take the drug themselves, to avoid suffering a similar, preventable fate. The life of an R&B/soul legend ended, not in a blaze of glory, but in the quiet heartbreak of a medical misadventure. His journey from being the mystery man behind "What You Won't Do for Love" to becoming an unwitting medical advocate ensures that the name Bobby Caldwell will resonate far beyond the confines of music. It is a story of music's power to unite and life's vulnerability. If this tragic and powerful story reminds you of the immense value of artistic authenticity and the hidden struggles behind the spotlight, please share it. Let us know in the comments below, what is your favorite memory or track from Bobby Caldwell's incredible R&B/soul catalog? We read every comment. And if you want to keep the memory and the music of our legends alive, subscribe to the channel and join our community. Rest in peace, Bobby Caldwell.